The Ford Aurora, a station wagon from another timeline. Picture what family road trips might look like today if Ford had torn up the rulebook on station wagons back in the early 1960s. Not a facelift, not a trim upgrade, a complete reimagining of what a family vehicle could actually be. That's the Ford Aurora, a full-size concept that treated the family car less like transportation and more like a rolling living room. Let's dig into it. Ford unveiled the Aurora as a part of its Practical Dream Cars showcase at the New York World's Fair. This wasn't just a static display piece. It packed in 24 experimental features spanning the exterior, the lighting, the cabin layout, and even a totally new way of climbing into the car. Ford's styling chief at the time, Jean Bordenat, said the name Aurora was meant to evoke the first light of dawn, and that theme wasn't just decorative. Light and how it was managed shaped nearly every design choice on the car. Bordenat framed the Aurora as a signal that station wagons could break free from being repurposed sedans and instead get their own dedicated chassis and engineering from the ground up. Exterior, built around airflow and light. The front end alone hinted at how unconventional this car was. Ford called its cooling setup the Aero Head Cooling System, side-mounted grill intakes that pulled air into the engine bay using the airstream flowing over the hood, rather than depending on one large front opening. That let engineers shrink the radiator core without sacrificing cooling performance, giving the nose a sleeker, more aerodynamic shape. Sweeping up from there, the wrap over windshield curved deep into the roof, merging seamlessly into one of the Aurora's signature features, a polarizing sunroof. This roof-windshield fusion maximized visibility and previewed just how much glass Ford was willing to build into the car. The roof itself was broken into zones. The front section, the power-operated polarizing sunroof, could shift from clear to opaque with a button press. It worked using 2 layers of polarizing material, each made of narrow parallel strips a fraction of an inch wide. Line the layers up and soft green light filtered into the cabin. Shift the lower layer just slightly so the strips crossed at 90 degrees and the roof went dark. It was essentially a giant adjustable lens sitting above the passengers. Past the roll bar, the roof material switched again, this time to textured aluminum designed to bounce back infrared rays and help control cabin heat. That roll bar did double duty, separating the 2 roof sections while also serving as a structural element built into the body itself. Even the side glass broke from convention. Rather than standard windows, Ford fitted flush jalousie panels, which kept the surface nearly flat to cut down on wind resistance and cabin noise. Sun visors got the same forward-thinking treatment. Adjustable louvers embedded in tinted plastic let occupants dial in brightness and glare without losing their view of the road. Lighting, as the core idea light wasn't just a design accent on the Aurora, it was the whole point. Ford used electroluminescent lighting, marketed as cool light, since it produced illumination without generating heat first. This lit up the side body coves, the front and rear plates, and even the Aurora badge on the hood and rear door, all powered by a semiconductor junction called a heterojunction phosphor. Ford viewed the tech as a breakthrough for future vehicle identification and safety systems. The headlights were just as unusual. Instead of the standard 2 or 4 lamps, the Aurora used a mini bank of 12 tiny 1-inch sealed beam lights. This array could be dimmed or brightened across a wide range, giving finer control over road illumination. And with 12 separate bulbs, a single failure wouldn't leave the driver in the dark. Turn signals were tucked into the tips of the body side styling lines, adding to the traditional front and rear indicators and tying the whole lighting theme together. Getting in, the clamshell entry system. Perhaps the most talked about feature was the rear clamshell entry system. The tailgate folded down into a carpeted step sturdy enough to stand on, while the liftgate itself didn't swing out like a normal wagon door. Torsion bars lifted it upward first, then it slid backward along built-in track over the roof. The result was a wide-open, obstruction-free rear opening, ideal for loading cargo or, more importantly, getting kids in and out easily. That last point connected directly to one of the Aurora's boldest interior concepts, a romper room. For the kids, Ford built the Aurora around the idea that long drives with children didn't need to be stressful. Toward the back, they installed a dedicated kids' compartment that could be sealed off acoustically from the rest of the cabin using a power-operated glass partition, quiet for the parents up front, a private zone for the kids in back. That space included a rear-facing seat, storage for books and toys, and its own AM/FM radio. The radio could even pipe in audio from the central TV, so kids could watch a show with the divider closed and the sound routed straight to their own speaker. Access was through the clamshell tailgate, using that same carpeted step. The central lounge moved further into the cabin and the Aurora starts to feel less like a car and more like a small living room. A swivel armchair could face forward for driving or rotate to face a curved sofa built to comfortably seat 4 adults, clearly designed for conversation, not just commuting. Above this seating area, a suspended ceiling cove held both direct and indirect lighting, working with the polarizing roof overhead to give the space more of a lounge feel than a vehicle interior. Next to the seating sat a communications console housing an AM/FM radio, a television, and a sound recorder, with a tabletop and a small cabinet below for ice and drinks. Ford also described plans for thermoelectric oven refrigerator units and a built-in beverage cooler as part of the interior package. Up front, the command post. Ford didn't treat the driver's seat like an ordinary cockpit either. They called it the command post. It featured a high-back, contoured design built for neck support on long drives. Steering came from a power-assisted bar rather than a traditional wheel, and thanks to a variable ratio gear setup, it needed just half a turn to go lock to lock. A setup built for fast, responsive handling. The dashboard leaned into future tech, too. A turnpike lane indicator flagged safe speeds per lane and warned of blockages ahead, and Ford left room for a constant speed control system and a device meant to automatically report the car's location. Why it never made it to production Ford was upfront that concepts like the Aurora existed to gauge public reaction. Seen by millions of fairgoers each year, these cars gave stylists, engineers, and executives a read on which ideas were worth chasing further into real production models. Looking back now, it's clear why a car like this could never exist on today's roads. Modern crash standards, safety regulations, and packaging constraints would rule out nearly every idea here. Even so, there's no denying how genuinely cool the whole concept still feels. So, what do you think of the Aurora? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And subscribe. First Gear sources for this video are linked in the description via Google Doc. Worth checking out for more detail. If you enjoyed this one, subscribe First Gear and check out the recommended video on the 15 most beautiful American car interiors of the 50s. See you in the next one.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.